Pursuant to House Resolution 223, the gentleman from Nebraska and a member opposed each will control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Nebraska.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, it's my understanding that our Chairman Simpson, as well as Ranking Member Capter, actually support this amendment, and I want to express my gratitude to the Chairman for working with me and thinking critically as to how we make our nuclear nonproliferation architecture more robust. What this amendment does is it moves $13.8 million from the mixed oxide portion of our nonproliferation account over to the nuclear smuggling and detection account and the research and development account as well. Nuclear smuggling and detection is an important part of our nonproliferation regimen, and research and development into better techniques to detect the illicit movement of fissile material or technology has to be one of the more robust policy considerations moving forward, not only in this appropriations bill, but as a body here, ensuring that we, again, are focused singularly on the nonproliferation threats that are occurring throughout the world as this technology spreads and as fissile material potentially becomes more available to those who would use it for potentially great harm. I also want in the to point out why this money is taken from the mixed oxide program. Currently in the bill, we're spending about $345 million on this program, but MOX is expensive and its future is unclear. We have to come to some policy decision here. We keep digging this hole and digging this hole. This policy is adrift, and it's costing taxpayers a great deal of money. It's not fair. In terms of a public policy, it's not fair to taxpayers. It's not fair to the people of South Carolina and Georgia because of this uncertainty. So we need a decision here. If it's no, we're not going to proceed with MOX, then we have to develop an understanding of what we're going to do with this material, whether it's blended down or stored, or whether we need to rethink the entire public policy that led us to this point, which is about 20 years old, and whether perhaps this ought to become some sort of international consortium, for instance, to deal with this particular issue and share in the cost. If the answer is yes, we're going to proceed with MOX, then spending $345 million a year to sort of keep it open with a little bit extra, and that cost to keep it open, keep it in cold storage, as we say, is approximately $200 million, so we throw in a little more on top. It doesn't get us to final completion. Doesn't really even get us on that road. So the policy here is adrift, and we have got to come to some deeper consideration as to what we're going to do. The problem with MOX fundamentally is the initial cost was $1 billion. Now we're looking at $7 billion. The life cycle costs are skyrocketing. So some clear, deliberate decision, and if it's yes, we need to expedite this, and we need to do so in a cost-conscious manner. If it's no, let's turn to other alternatives quickly so that we can move more of these funds into the robust portions of our nonproliferation regimen, our architecture, to ensure that we bring down the probability of a nuclear weapons explosion as zero as possible, ensuring as well that we are keeping this material out of others' hands. With that, I'll yield a moment to my friend from California, Mr. Garimondi.
I want to commend the gentleman for taking up this issue. The MOX facility life cycle cost is now over $47 billion, and at the end of the game will not solve the problem. The disposition of the unnecessary plutonium stock can be done in other ways. We ought to set aside that money. You're quite correct to put it into non-proliferation issues, trying to figure out where the loose nukes might be around the world. I'll draw your attention and the attention of the gentlemen and women here today that in yesterday's National Defense Authorization Act, those facilities that sense the movement of nuclear materials across borders, the in place were withdrawn, taken out. We ought to pay attention to that, put those back in. One more piece. I want to commend the gentleman for being right on, and we do need to sort out the MOX facility and come to some conclusion. Otherwise, we're in a $47 billion rat hole that won't solve the problem.
Thank the gentleman for his comments. Mr. Chairman, with that, I'd like to reserve the balance of my time before I do so. I want to just again commend the chairman for trying to work with me. This is a difficult position. You have a very difficult task here of balancing competing ends. But I really appreciate the way in which you've artfully drawn together an important bill here.
Gentleman reserves the balance.